Hi everyone, welcome to this new video, Chapter 14, Firms in Competitive Markets. This is a book of Gregory Mankiw, Principles of Economics. We are going to work on exercises from 1 to 6. So the first question says, many small boats are made of fiberglass, which is derived from crude oil. Suppose that the price of oil rises. The first question says, using diagrams, show what happens to the cost curves of an individual boat making firm and to the market supply curve. So remember from the very beginning of the chapter 3, 4, if I'm not wrong, were all the things that make changes on supply on the producer side. So remember that production requires inputs, and basically if those inputs the price is higher, definitely you cannot produce as before. So this change makes you produce less. So when you produce less, your supply curve shift to the left. Okay, so that's the basic idea. Now, what about the curves? Remember, the first curve that we're going to talk here is the variable cost. So this variable cost, represents uh, at this time. Actually, here is the the average variable cost. So this represent how in average how much is the cost that you need to pay for producing one unit. So this one, it has the curve, which is like slowing, it's like downward sloping and then upward sloping. Okay, here, so the optimus point here is like when the cost is the minimum. Then, in order to understand better this graph, I strongly recommend you to go to this chapter explanation and to the previous one. So you will figure out why this is this curve in this way. So here, the other curve that we're going to talk here is the total cost, the average total cost. So this average total cost, remember, is the sum of the average variable cost plus the average fixed cost, and it has like actually almost the same shape as the average variable cost. And here we have the marginal cost, that, remember, the most important feature of the marginal cost related with the average total cost and the average variable cost is that the marginal cost cuts cuts in the minimum of these two curves. So remember, every single example that is said every single time, that when you have here, remember that this is like your GPA. So here, when this one, your next exam, is lower than your average, so this one is going to decrease. But when your next exam is higher than your average, the average will increase. So that's basically the relation why when this is lower than this one, this is decreasing, and when it's higher, this is increasing. So here, first, remember when you have here the price of oil, the crude oil, and this is an important product for the fiberglass which produce boats. So in this time the average variable cost will increase. So then you will see that this one is going to move up, so the average variable cost. Then we have the variable cost prime, like prime. Here we have the other one. Then automatically when you have a change of the variable cost and the fixed cost remain the same, then there is going to be a change of the total cost. So it makes your total cost go up as well. So then, as a consequence of a higher total cost associated for each boat produced, this time your marginal cost will change as well, and will go to the left because it's going to be higher at the same quantity. So here, for example, at this quantity, it was the marginal cost, but now at this quantity, the marginal cost will be higher. And then it's going to cut the minimum as well, these two. Then remember that in the short run, the supply curve starts from this one when it cuts the variable cost. So this is the supply curve, because at this time, if you have this one, if you have these quantities and this price, it means that you're going to pay you neither. I mean, at this time you cannot even pay the variable cost. Okay, so this time is better not to produce anything, but when you produce up here, you at least are covering part of the variable cost, and when you are here, you are covering all all the costs. Okay, so this one is the supply of the short run. Then the idea at the end, when we replace that in the market price and quantity, we know that this one was the supply, this one was the demand. Due to the increase of the input, it becomes here that your supply curve is going to move, is going to shift to the left. What is going to have at the end higher prices and smaller quantities of equilibrium. So this one is what we already know from before, from the very beginning chapters, and we already study what is behind that. So behind that is going to represent by the cost. So again, there was a change of the variable cost, then a change in the average variable cost. It causes a change in the total cost, and then obviously in the average total cost. And due to this change, the marginal cost is going to increase as well. So at this time, we're going to generate a change of the supply. The second question says, what happens to the profits of boat makers in the short run? What happens to the number of boat makers in the long run? So here, short run, remember, when we are talking about benefits, we're talking about total revenue minus total cost. Then this total cost increases. Okay, that's completely normal due to the increase of the price of the crude oil, of the oil. Then we are assuming here elastic curves. Why? Because remember elasticity in this concept. When you have an inelastic market and you increase the price, or at least you are in the inelastic part of your curve, when you increase the price, it means that the price is going to vary higher than the change of the quantities. So it implies automatically that your total revenue will be higher. But if you are in an elastic, in the other side, an a market which is elastic, it means that when you change the prices, the quantities will decrease more than the change in the price. So here we need to assume that they are elastic curves. So it means that this change in the prices makes that the benefits represent this with pi, the Greek letter of the Greek alphabet. So here the benefits in this after, they're going to be lower than the first time or the previous stage. Then there's going to be the benefits in the or profits in the short run. What about in the long run? Automatically, when we have lower benefits, just the companies that they have better cost related, better efficient ways to produce, they still can stay in the market. Otherwise, they need to leave. So then the idea is like in the long run, the number of boat makers will decrease. So that's the basic idea. Because remember this part, you're going to be, your supply curve is going to start from the total cost, not from the variable cost, because in the long run there are not variable costs. Sorry, there are no fixed costs. So the variable costs are exactly the same as total cost. So here the second question says, You go out to the best restaurant in town and order a lobster dinner for $40. After eating half of the lobster, you realize that you are quite full. Your date wants you to finish your dinner because you can't take it home and because you've already paid for it. What should you do? Relay your answer to material in this chapter. So, okay, we need to answer in this way. We cannot say, okay, I'm going to take it away anyway without anyone looking at me or something like that. Something that related with this chapter. So then, the idea is like until you're okay, we can say that kind of the between quotation marks, the marginal income, so your utility is higher than the marginal cost. It means that the cost of eating one spoon or one additional portion of food is better than the cost of feeling like kind of full. After some point, let's take this one as the equilibrium point, the marginal cost is higher than the marginal income. So it means like the cost of eating one little piece of lobster, it hurts you. So for this time, it's not like really nice to eat more. So this could be related with the concept of marginal utility. But, which is more related with this chapter, is about these $40. We can associate them as a sunk cost because you are thinking in the marginal way and you are not thinking anymore on the $40. You already paid. There is anything you can do in order to have them back. So then this could be associated with the sunk cost and you in this time you maximize or you think just in the marginal way. Then Bob's Lawn Mowing Service is a profit maximizing competitive firm. So it means automatically that they try to fix the price in order to have the best benefit, but at the same time they are price takers. So I mean, the market provides him the price that he needs to sell. Remember, why is that? Because if he offers a higher price, no one is going to buy him. If he offers a lower price, why should he do that? Because the point is like he can offer to a higher price and he will sell everything. Then Bob must land for $20 each. So it means that's the price of the service, $27. Then his total cost each day is $280. So this one is the total cost. Remember, total cost is divided in variable cost plus fixed cost. Then $30 is a fixed cost. So this is a part of this $280. Then he mows 10 lawns a day. So this is the quantity that he offers in a day. The question is, what can you say about Bob's short run decision regarding shutdown and his long run decision regarding exit? So remember, what is the difference between short run and long run in economics related with cost? The difference is in short run, all the costs are divided in variable and fixed. Okay? And in the long run, you are able to roll out kind of or get rid of these fixed costs. So all the costs are variables. So this is the main difference. Okay? And regarding decision, if you stay or leave the market in the short and long run is the next. You're going to stay in the short run if and only if you cover at least completely your fixed cost. Okay? And it could be great if you can cover all the variable costs or at least part of it. So you're going to stay in the market. In the long run, due to there aren't fixed costs, it means that you need to cover completely your variable cost. And it means the same that you cover the variable cost, then you need to cover the total cost as well, because variable costs are exactly the same as total costs in the long run. So that's the idea that we're going to work with the Bob's lawn mowing service. So the total revenue of bonds is going to be naturally the numbers of lawns that he mows times the price. So it's going to be 27, the price that he charges, and 10, the quantity of lawns that he mows. This one is going to be 370, is going to be the total revenue per day from Bob's. Then the benefits defined as, or the profits defined as pi equal, this one is going to be minus 10. So you will say the immediate question, say, don't do that. You are losing money. But why not? Why is not a smart decision in the short run? It's not smart due to if you don't mow anything, if you don't mow anything, you still need to pay the fixed cost. It means you still need to pay $30. But at this time, you're not losing these $30. You're losing just $10. So this is not a good idea. In the future, when we don't have fixed costs, this is going to be a smart idea. Leave the market. So that's the point. Then we have the fourth question. Consider total cost and total revenue given in the following table. So here we have quantity. Okay, then we have the total cost, which increases naturally, which the quantity produced. Here we have the total revenue as well, it increases. And then the first question says, calculate profit for each quantity. How much should the firm produce to maximize profit? Then we're going to figure out about profits. What is the definition of profits? Total revenue minus total cost. Minus 8, 1. I'm really sorry, this is completely wrong. 8 minus 9 minus 1, sorry. 6, 13, 19, 21, 21 as well here, and 19. Then, how much should the firm produce to maximize profit? So you go here, there are two, this one, the quantity 5 or 6. But it's better when you have this one, when your total cost like lower, this one. So I would say this one. The fifth quantity is going to be this one, okay? Then calculate marginal revenue and marginal cost for each quantity. Graph them. And they present a hint. Put the points between whole numbers. For example, the marginal cost between 2 and 3 should be graphed at 2.5. What quantity do these curves cross? How does it related with your answer in part A? Okay, we're going to verify if that's true. So the marginal revenue in the middle of the points, because we're going to represent it here because the change. Remember definition of marginal revenue, which is going to be the additional revenue for selling one unit additional. It's going to be this one, 8, 8, 8. And this is a relation in the competitive firm, because no matter how much you sell, you're going to sell every time at the same price. So it means automatically the marginal revenue is going to be constant. Then your marginal cost is going to be the change, the same, but in cost it's going to be 1, 1, 1, 2, 6, 8. This one. Okay, so the idea here, if you want to relate here that about marginal cost and marginal revenue, I would change the A part, because this one is going to be okay, right? It's going to be the higher revenue, which is going to be taken, is going to be the sixth one. So 6 quantities that are going to be produced. So now we're going to graph them. So yeah, here it's like we have here in dollars, and here we have the quantities. This is represented the marginal revenue, and this one is the marginal cost. So this one is going to be the quantities. I'm really sorry about that, because this is not going to be 7. I did something wrong about the x's. It's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be 6 quantities where the marginal cost is exactly to the marginal revenue. And think about this relation like that. When you produce this one, the first unit, your income of this new one is smaller than the cost. Sorry, the income that you receive for this additional is higher than the that it costs you to produce it. So you have benefits of this margin for this one. You have for the second unit, you have this margin of benefits. For the third unit, you still have this margin, so you can produce more. For the fifth quantity, it reduces, but still you have a positive profit. And for the fifth quantity, you produce, but you still have. So then you can produce this one. Why you don't produce more? Because the next quantity that you produce, this is going to cost more than it's going to represent you as an income, as a revenue. So that's the deal. Okay, then total revenue. Can you tell whether this firm is in a competitive industry? If so, can you tell whether the industry is in a long industry? Okay, in a long run equilibrium, sorry. So here, first, the total revenue is constant. As I said before, it means that this is a competitive firm. So there's not any change of that. And then it this is not the long run, because remember, in the long run, all the firms in the market, they're going to have zero benefits. So definitely this is not the long run. Then we have the fifth question. Ball bearings incorporate faces costs of production as follows. So here we have the quantities. Here we have the fixed costs that naturally they don't change due to the quantity produced, and the variable cost that it does. So the first question says, calculate the company's average fixed costs, average variable costs, average total costs, and marginal costs at each level of production. First, the average fixed cost. So average, you need to divide by quantities. So it's going to be 100 divided 0, which is not determinate. So here we have this 150, 33.33, so on and so forth. No problem. We just divide this one by this one. The average variable cost is going to be the same. This one divided by this one. So this one is not determinate, and this one is the derivation. The next one, the average total cost, is going to be the total cost divided the quantity, or it's going to be the sum of these two. Remember, total cost is equal to variable cost plus fixed cost, or divided all in quantity is going to be average total cost equal to average variable cost plus average fixed cost. So this one is going to be 150, is going to be just the sum of these two. Okay, then the other one, marginal cost, will represent in the middle, because it's the change from one unit to other. It's going to be 50, which is going to be basically the change as a matter of fact of the variable cost, because this one remains the same. So this is going to be 50, 20, 20, 50, 60, 160. Then the question says, the price of a case ball bearing is $50. Seeing that he can't make a profit, the chief executive officer, CEO, decides to shut down operations. What is the firm's profit loss? Was this a wise decision? Explain. So first we need to figure out. Here is the production of this firm, where this one, the average total cost is the lower one. Okay, so we're going to use this one, these quantities, which is going to be 6. Okay, then the idea of here is like we have um, if they close, they have to pay the fixed costs. Okay, then the total revenue is going to be 50, which is the dollars, times times 4. Okay, it's going to be 200. Okay, then the total cost at that time is going to be 60 times 4, this one. Okay, it's going to be 240. Okay, then something relevant to think about, I choose this one, right? But I would say that the better decision right now that I'm thinking is better this one. Okay, then your total revenue is going to be 50 times 5, which is going to be 250. And your total cost is going to be this one, 5 times 60 is going to be 300. So 300, so this one is going to be a loss of $50. Okay, so no, definitely it's going to be this one because this time the loss is just 40. Okay, then this CEO said that it's better to shut down the operation. I would say no, because when you shut the operation in the short run, because we have fixed costs, they need to pay 100, which is much worse than this just loss of $40. So it's better to stay in the market and have a loss of 40 instead of stay in the market and have a loss of 100. The other said vaguely remembering in his introductory economics course, the chief financial officer tells the CEO that it's better to produce one case of ball bearing because marginal revenue equals marginal cost at that quantity. What is the firm's profit loss at that level of production? What is the best decision? Explain. So, at the first time when you have the just one unit, your total revenue is going to be 50, right? But your total cost is going to be 150. Then at that time, if you sell this one at $50, your loss is going to be 100. Sorry, it's not going to be 50. It's going to be 100. Okay, so definitely is not the best decision. Even the marginal cost is equal to the total, the marginal revenue. It doesn't have any sense because you have the sunk cost or you have the fixed cost at the time. Then not the best solution. The 6 point says, suppose the book printing industry is competitive and begins in a long run equilibrium. So remember, long run, it means there are not variable costs. Second, the benefits of the firms are zero. So there are no incentive to leave to enter into the market. Okay? Then draw a diagram showing the average total cost, marginal revenue, supply curve of the typical firm in the industry. First, we have here cost and quantity. Here we have the variable quantity. I'm so sorry, this is not true because variable cost doesn't exist in the long run. So just pay attention to this one, to total cost. Okay, this one don't pay attention. So this one is the price where it's exactly the same when it cuts the marginal cost. That's the trick. It is the same. The price equal the marginal cost. Then in the long run benefits equal to zero. So in the competitive industry we have price equal to marginal cost and equal to marginal revenue here. Okay. Then this is the quantity of equilibrium. Then price times quantity is the total revenue, and this one, the quantities times the total cost, the average total cost. So let me do something here. It could be better. Here is the average total cost, and remember the average total cost, how we can define them. The average total cost is the total cost over the quantity. If you multiply by the quantity, just like in this time, then you have the total cost. So here, what we are trying to say is like here, we have this one is the total cost. So if those are equal, the benefits are zero. So that's the idea. And what about the supply curve? It's going to be the part which overpass the average total cost because we are in the long run. So this is the supply curve. Then High-tech printing company invents a new process that sharply reduces the cost of printing books. So here, what you can think about it is that your variable cost is going to reduce, but we are in the long run anyway, so the total cost is going to reduce. Okay, so what happens to high-tech's profits and the price of books in the short run when high-tech's patent prevents other firms from using the new technology? Here, so here we have the situation, the initial situation. Due to that, it's going to be like it's going to reduce both variable cost and total cost. But important that, as I said before, I'm so sorry for variable cost because we are talking about at this time we are talking about just about the long run. So remember, the long run, the variable cost, they don't exist. So here we have this one. We're going to be the quantities times the cost, the average total cost. Remember, this is the average total cost. This is going to be what? This is going to be the total cost, and the revenue is going to be all this square because this is going to be the price of the market. So as you notice, this decrease of the cost generates a difference between total revenue, which is the line with blue, minus the bars in yellow. This is going to be positive, these bars, these vertical bars in green. So this one is going to be the profits. So the price is going to be exactly the same because we're in the competitive market. They are not big enough to change the price of the market, so they will have a profit. Okay, then what happens in the long run when the patent expires and other firms are free to use technology? So in the long run, basically, we have here the first situation. What was the price? This one. This was the initial. But then when all the companies have this patent and reduce cost, they have the possibility of producing more to the same price. Okay, then at this time the supply curve is going to move to the right, and then at the end this kind of event that all people can use, all firms reduce costs, and the benefits will go to zero again in the long run, and then the price will decrease. It's going to be better for the consumers at that time. So basically that's the idea. As I said, every single video is my point of view. Maybe I have like some better ways to answer the question, and I will appreciate if you comment them and you say, okay, I think that that's wrong, maybe we can use that way. It could be great. So enjoy the videos, continue with economics, and please see you the next time. Bye bye.